what's happening, plebs? We're out here with a little discussion that we were doing with some of the UK plebs, discussing link summoning and its future and all that kind of shit. So first off, really quickly, I'm just going to do like a super fast like explanation of link monsters. So as you can see here on the screen, we've got a decode talker up here. Doesn't have defense, doesn't have level. It's got materials here. So basically what you have is a new zone. It's called the extra deck monster zone. So you can only control one extra deck monster at a time unless you have linked zones up. So to summon this card, for example, Decode Talker, it says it requires 2 or more effect monsters. So because it's link 3, that means it will require 3 effect monsters in this case. Or it will require a 1 link 1 monster and 2 effect monsters, or 1 link 2 monster and 1 effect monster. So to link summon, you basically just send them to the graveyard and then you put it in the extra deck zone, the extra main monster zone as it's called now. And then you have these arrows, as you can see here. So you can see there's the red ones flashing upwards and bottom left, bottom right. So that means your zone placement is now relevant. So you pointing to the bottom left and bottom right, these are now new extra deck zones. So now you can put extra deck monsters in these new zones. And that's basically how you link summon. You can only use the linked zones for extra deck monsters. These monsters can't be put face down. And as you might have been wondering, the one pointing upward does actually indeed mean that your opponent now gets an extra deck monster zone. So I guess maybe that's Konami's way of balancing it and making it sort of fair. Because as you can imagine now, this format is going to be super slow now, since you can't exactly just spam out extra deck monsters anymore, since you can only have 1 extra deck monster zone, and the only way to make more extra deck monster zone is to make a link zone, and that requires resources in and of itself. So I guess that's a really basic. Did I miss anything else? Or I guess that's a pretty fast standard rundown. Hello?
Yeah, I think you got it.
I think you got it. Okay. Let's just throw out some first impressions then. Beaky, do you know what a link monster is yet?
Yeah, you did a very good description. Help me.
Okay. So what do you think of it?
They seem really cool. I like it. I like it a lot.
Thanks, Beaky. Elliot.
Yeah, it just kind of means like all these yellow combo decks are going to die unless they can throw a link or 2 links out originally, because you can end up swarming a board, I think. Still, but if you're going to have a board full of extra monsters, you're going to need 3 link monsters on board. So you'd have a link and then 2 links on either side of the link, like in the bottom left and bottom right, and then that basically opens up the rest of your board. So then you can have an extra or 3 or 4. I think it's 3 extra monsters. So you can still do all the combos, it's just everything's going to be really, really demanding now. And I'm assuming as long as they don't print any busted link monsters that fuel combos themselves, it's probably going to kill a lot of stuff. But obviously, as we've seen, it didn't really kill Zoo at all, which is great.
If anyone in the chat can maybe quickly link me the leaks of the different link monsters we've had. So I know we've got Decode Talker, but there's a couple of other sort of generic ones that are just really sort of basic link monsters, like Link 1.
There's one that's Gaia. I think it's just 2 monsters.
Don't link me.
Not effect.
Yeah, so you get some really generic effects. Decode Talker here is Link 3 with 2 or more effect monsters. That's a little bit more difficult to summon than other link monsters. A lot of them are super generic. And yeah, as someone mentioned in chat, there's just like there's some stupid busted combos that you can do already. There's already like Quasar combos and stuff. But the thing is, it does slow down the game a lot, because yes, you can make Quasar with a link summon like thing, whatever. But in today's meta, you can make like triple Quasar depending on your hand. So unless we're seeing that kind of level of plays with link summoning, it's fair to assume that it's quite slow right now. So here's an example up on screen here. It's called Link Spider. It's just 1 normal monster. That's it. That opens up 1 extra zone. He's got 1000 attack. So this is probably the most basic link monster that you'll get, because it just opens up 1 extra link monster zone, and it's just there to like give you some more extended plays. There's one here called Honeybot, so it's got left and right links. Left and right links are very important, because if you think about it, if you have Decode Talker in the top zone, that's going to be pointing downward into your main monster zone, so that's your usual 5 slots. Now your left and right links open up, and they let you extra deck summon outwards. And you also have to really plan ahead, because now you can't just summon a monster and put it into any zone. Like, you have to think ahead and be like, well, I might need this zone because it'll be linked left and right. So the left arrow doesn't actually mean anywhere to the left. It literally means the next zone beside it. And if you already have that zone occupied, you've wasted an extra deck zone on, like, you know, a token potentially or something stupid like that, right? That's just something to take into consideration. So yeah, it's I think technical play wise, it's going to be really interesting. Am I right?
Well, no, because people are just going to let everyone take shit back, like, genuinely. So, oh, sorry, the wrong place. That's going to take a lot of getting used to. Where people are just going to be like, yeah,
I mean,
fine.
of course there's going to be teething issues, but that's not really the point.
You know that when you go up on screen right now, Honeybot, like, say you had a Honeybot next to each other and another Honeybot, are they technically linked to each other?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, the only way you could make it is if, like, the only way you could make the second Honeybot is in the new zone, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just wondering if, like, they both gave each other the effect of not being able to be targeted or destroyed.
Monsters that are linked to this card cannot be targeted by, yeah, I guess you could create a soft lock with it.
Yeah.
With a 1900
Very
attack.
cool.
Can be targeted, obviously can't be put face down or put in defense, so hey, Honeybot Turbo boys. New combo.
Oh.
Bread, tell me things.
Okay, so to answer the same question you asked the others, my initial thought on link summoning was it's very convoluted, I think, especially for new players. I feel like you have to explain, when you're going through the rules, you have to explain a lot of stuff to begin with. You have to explain what a synchro summon is, an XE summon, a pendulum summon, ritual and fusion. These are 5 mechanics, and they've added not only a 6th mechanic to this, but they've also then, this 6th mechanic, unlike the others, has had a direct impact on everything that's come before it. So these guys are going to kind of struggle. I think it makes it a lot harder for newer players, whilst adding obviously a new dynamic to the game with the fact that your link monsters can obviously interact with your opponent's field. So obviously, if you look at Decode Talker, it has an arrow pointing up. That means it can potentially link to your opponent's monsters, if I'm not mistaken. So it actually means that, like, you can sort of benefit from your opponent's field and correct placement of stuff. But it could also, like I think it was mentioned before, like Elliot said, it could also be, rather than like creating people, like, creating the atmosphere of like people taking stuff back, it could be like, if in fact, like, it could create more potential for rule sharking. I feel like this could be more problematic as well, and like I think that Konami might actually start enforcing that mats have zones in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
So like I think spell grounds and gem mats and everything that's being made at the moment, like either they need to advocate so the Yu-Gi-Oh play a bit more, otherwise they're just gonna, but I'm obviously, like, this is just hypothetical, but I definitely think that this is something that will rule out rule sharking, to say the least. I mean, like, even if they don't enforce that rule, I can imagine that most players want to, like, bring like a mat with zones. I think myself, I don't really want a chance playing a spell ground at an event now where someone
yeah,
will try and shark you.
So I just don't think it's worth the risk just to play like a nice mat. You probably use it at locals or something, but at anything that's worth getting points now, you want to, like, kind of cover your ass. But yeah, my initial thought was, like, I wasn't too keen on it. I felt like, like, I think everybody else is in the same boat. I think that it was like, is this really something a ban list couldn't have solved? And like they could have just like worked on card design. But after a bit of I just thought about it, and like most people are saying it's ruined Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff. And I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but I feel like now is more of a appropriate time than any. Like,
to do what?
If people
to change?
Just to like so like. If people think that this game is ruined, because a lot of people have so far, I've spoken to a lot of people, and some people think the game is ruined, or they think that, like, they've just completely shat on the whole card pool that currently exists. Like, whether you like it or not, no matter how you spin it, this is Yu-Gi-Oh now. Like, if you don't like it, leave. Like, this is just how it is now. We have to adapt. This is how it's always been. I can appreciate that like Yu-Gi-Oh hasn't been a case of changing something this drastically, but this is probably for the best. You know, like Yu-Gi-Oh has been kind of spiraling out of control over the last year and a half with the unbreakable boards. I mean, I'd rather have a much stronger limitation on the way we play the game rather than someone going Tsukiyomi Buster set 4, try and play the game, and cards like Max C as well having an impact on just the fact that you can't play a card without Max C being thrown down and shit like that. You know, I would like to play slower, grindier games and actually kind of like interact with my opponent, and I think that this has a strong capacity to do that. So.
Well, I mean, that's the thing I like about it, is the fact that it slows the game down, you know, like a lot. Now I think the problem is, like you did mention that, you know, oh, they could have just done it with like a ban list or whatever. I mean, arguably, yeah, they could just.
That's what most people thought.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, if you start limiting like Metal Foes cards and ABC cards and obviously like Rat and stuff like that, what are you really left with? You're left with like decks that are like we literally just keep going back to the same old engines. Like we'd be going back to like artifacts. We'd be going back to like fucking hands and shit. Like if we didn't have anything playable today, we'd be playing Blue Eyes.
No, it's more like so.
Like the only way they can like, you know, not have any more power creep is if they keep nerfing the decks like with ban lists. But then if you nerf like the latest deck, then you just go back a format. Really, is what happens.
That's sort of the problem with the power creep thing they've been using, though, because a lot of decks have just like not been hit whatsoever because they've just been power creeped out, even though they're still technically a good deck, just something better's getting along. So like meaning to release a ban list and hit the current best thing, whatever was best last would just take its place.
Yeah.
So,
Which is kind of one of the reasons I like this new mechanic, because it solves that issue to an extent.
Like if you look at this. If we take Invasion format and Raging Tempest format as an example, all that happened with Raging Tempest format, like that we have now, is that they literally just put Zoo on top, and then Zoo naturally was like so powerful, so consistent that somehow it just like outclassed all the decks, and like we still have like all these other engines on top, like Metal Foes and what else goes with it, like Infernoid or something like that, right? But we still have like everything from the format that came before it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this is kind of natural, I think, until a ban list occurs where they kind of like take away stuff from decks mildly. They might put Mithridium to 2 for argument's sake for some reason, right? Because the way that Yu-Gi-Oh seasons work is that they want every deck that they've kind of released since August to be a thing up until the following year, up until like after Euros, because they want to have diverse formats. So like they released, so like last year the example would be like Cosmo, Monarchs, and BA and Pendulum decks. Those 4 decks kind of like coexisted for the whole year. None of them like effectively died up until after Euros.
Yeah.
So like they'll do something similar. So by that time people have got their money's worth out of like say Zoo and Metal Foes and stuff. At which point then they do the obligatory ban list where they kill all the decks after they've released the new stuff worth playing. So like we didn't get a ban list that effectively power crept the Euros format until like Invasion Vengeance, which is insane. But yeah, so we have to just so for example, so like we're playing Zoo now, and we won't need a ban list or anything that kind of removes those decks up until Links come out, which won't be until like August.
I feel like Zoo could potentially survive until Link summoning.
Well, that's what it will do.
It's not that long away, is it? Starter deck will come out in like June, July.
Haven't we already got a video that's already shown how we can already like Zoo combo?
I'm sure they'll probably like tap it on the wrist, but it'll be enough to the point where Link summoning like can't be done without like some of like new cards they'll release by then. And I would assume it's probably going to be the same sort of path that Pendulums took, where it just sucked ass, like with the structure thing. Like what was the first Pendulum monsters we had? Like Time Gazer, Stargazer?
Stargazer and Time Gazer.
Yeah, so like we had that, and then just out of nowhere, Breaker of Shadows, fucking Enter Mage, like just absurd.
That
like
was
I
like
think
that was like That was a year and a
Oh yeah,
half
Clifford.
into the
Yeah.
Pendulum mechanic. Up until then, we only had Cleave.
And Clifford wasn't like
Mainly 'cause
broken
of
off the start.
Pendulum mechanic.
Yeah.
And Clee
Each,
played really like sort of weirdly. Like it was almost like it was just like a better stun deck the way it ran. Like the pendulum mechanic wasn't super part and parcel. Like it didn't feel like a pendulum deck in to some extent.
In Milan, it was like Disco TK, and I was like,
Yeah.
And so I feel like Link monsters will be like taking the same path where we'll get like some garbage thing to begin with like structured decks.
I don't know.
And then we'll
It's
just
not-
get like some absurd thing.
It's not a guaranteed pattern though, because it wasn't the case where synchros, when they first came out, from the get go they were like amazing. So you had like Stardust Dragon, Thought Ruler, Archfiend, and then I don't know what else came out with it. I don't want to say like Hidden Arsenal came out straight away.
See, that's the
but-
thing though. I think it's just because the standard like extra deck lineup was just really limited back then. So you didn't have your Castell, your Honor Arc, your main deck cards was like Compulse, which is at 1. So you had you had no way to deal with like Stardust Dragon. Stardust Dragon was a fucking problem when it came out. You know, like absurd. But like now
that's
in like
what I mean, like-
2017. When Link monsters come out, that there's nothing like decks can't really not deal with. Like we have non-targeting Banish with Viper, we've got spinning with like Ignister, spinning with Castell. There's lots more ways to deal with monsters these days. So they would have to like make everything towers to make like things stick, if going forward really.
Yeah, I mean, like, but it's been different in different. If there's not been like a guaranteed sort of pattern to the way they've like broken something. So like, I think it took like synchros when they first came out, it was like straight away they were just like really good. And then like with XCs, like XCs were pretty crap like to begin with. I'm pretty sure because all you had was Utopia, Wind Up Zen Mice.
The first set had Leviair in it, which was really good.
Oh yeah, like Leviathan and stuff.
Leviathan
But yeah,
Dragon was really good apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, but then it
Turtle
takes
Guide into Leviathan was like good in 2011 as a starting play.
didn't it take up? Yeah, because you could play in like Plant Synchro, couldn't you? But like, wasn't it up until what's it called? Like the following set where there was
full on Shockwave. That's when
Yeah.
Rapid came out, and that's when it really took off. But
that's
up
when you
until
had
that
like
point, it was people just playing a Utopia in their extra deck, and then maybe a rank freeze if they played Turtle Guide.
Well,
Yeah.
you're forgetting agents.
Oh yeah, agents. Gachi was relevant.
fair. Okay. But yeah, but like they could do something similar. We haven't seen the set for Code of the Duelist yet, so like the starter deck could have something, fair. But you never know what they could do to advocate link summoning. So
Plus the whole like when we had the whole detached Sangan search thing. I know I probably shouldn't go into this a lot, but like during that like small period of time that was actually relevant, like it was a huge because like DM was like a big thing back then as well, and like a huge metagame play back then was to go tour guide, get Sangan, go into Leviathan Dragon, detach Sangan, search Effect Veiler, and like you were so far ahead of your opponent during that period of time.
was that actually like legal for an event at all?
No, it was only. It was legal for the YCS that Robert Bayajian won, but it wasn't. But that was only with Granosaurus and stuff. Like with Generation Force being out, it was only legal for like 3 or 4 days, which was not during. It was like during a week. It was like that. They were all weekdays basically.
Oh, okay.
So coming back a little bit to Link monsters, pendulums are, as far as I don't know if we know officially currently, but basically Link monsters require the Link materials to go to the graveyard. So that means things like tokens, and potentially it does seem like pendulum monsters as well can't be used for Link summoning. So you can't fill up your extra by with pendulum monsters by making a Link monster in the same way that you can make Mithrilium and then pendulum back out. We're not going to be able to do that apparently. Furthermore,
Is
is
that like proven?
well, that's the thing. It was not definite yet, and we don't have an official source on it. If anyone in chat can correct me, do we have an official source on this? I'm not sure, but at least as far as we're standing now, we think that potentially pendulum monsters can't be used for the Link summon. But what we know for definite is that Pendulum monsters cannot be summoned to your main monster zone from your extra deck. They can only be summoned to your main monster zone from your hand, or they can only be summoned from your extra deck to your main monster zone if your main monster zone has link zone. So as you can see here in the picture, we've got Decode Talker up. He's pointing bottom left and bottom right. Hypothetically, in this situation where you see X Dragon Cannon or whatever the fuck this is, and Dart Rebellion, those two monsters would be able to be summoned into their zones with extra deck Pendulum monsters that you've, so like Pendulum Sorcerer or Luster Dragon from your extra deck. They would be able to go into those zones, but they wouldn't be able to go anywhere else. They would only be able to go to link zones. That puts Pendulums in a grueling spot. Smelly, you've been a big fan of like Metal Foes and shit for like quite a while and stuff. Like, what do you think about like the Pendulum nerf essentially that they've done with this new link rule?
Yeah, it's like initially it doesn't change that much because like your first push can just come from your hand, so it doesn't change like that much. Obviously, still you're gonna have to make a link monster before you delve into the extra deck, like XYZ or whatever. But obviously, I'm sure some combos will come out that make link summoning like capable to be done efficiently beforehand before you do all that nonsense. But then yeah, like the main attraction of Pendulum was the grind, where like it didn't matter how many pushes you did, as long as you didn't hit a strike or whatever, you could just keep throwing these monsters at them. But
yeah, that's what I really dug about.
Pretty much can't do that anymore. Not guaranteed anyway, unless they bring out cards that just like protect link monsters, so you can just keep it up all the time. But otherwise, no, the grind's gone.
It's quite like what I liked about like the Metal Foe mirror, because I also liked it as well, Nadir, you prick.
I was gonna ask you next.
No, I love Metal. I love Metal Foes, but yeah, like that's why when I saw the Pendulum rules, I was kind of gutted. That was the thing that made me a bit sad about the rules. Was like I was like, oh, I love Metal Foes, but yeah, the grind for Pendulums. It's only in that context where it's like it's okay, but if we go back and then we look at like the Pepe Pendulum formats where you were like, okay, you better kill me now, you better like put a soft lock on me, or I'm just gonna like summon these 5 guys and get more pluses. Like that, when I think about that, I'm like, okay, Pendulum summoning needs to just like stop, because like it'll just get insane.
So we talked about this a little bit before we went live, but like it's just weird to think like what the question is, you know, and it's like something that guys in chat can probably think about and answer. You know, what is Konami's goal, long-term goal for Pendulum? Like, what are they trying?
I think this might. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just gonna finish up with saying, so like, what are they trying to do with Pendulums now? Pendulums have been the most badly received mechanic ever in this game. When Synchros came out, they were generally quite well received, mostly because of the anime, and obviously the bulk of the player base are casuals who enjoy the anime. The 5Ds is arguably one of the best of the series. A lot of people were fans of synchro summoning from the anime, so it was well received. XE summoning was fairly fair when it first came out. It wasn't super overpowered. The best monsters we had back then were like Leviathan Dragon, and like I think like Maestroke as well was like kind of like came along as well. That was as powerful as you really got. People didn't think there was anything too busted about them. It was really fair. Obviously, there's going to be haters. Everyone will hate mechanics as they come along. People don't like change. That's just natural, but you can't please everyone. However, Pendulum were not just hated by the quote-unquote the casual sector of Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro players, really, you know, influential figures, outright said that Pendulum is degenerate. It's just stupid, that it shouldn't have been invented. Pendulum was one of the worst received mechanics or changes this game has ever had. So
that's not like on the fault of like the mechanic though. That was just how Konami handled it. Like, try and think of an average but decent Pendulum mechanic. They were all fucking broken or shit. So the shit ones just never got touched, and the broken ones just made people upset because they were ridiculous. Like, we never had a decent middle ground. We never had, like, a goddamn Gachi Gachi and shit like that, and, like, all these average synchros. They were, like, decent.
Well, the thing is, without going too far off topic, because I do want to come back and mention that stuff as well, but regardless of whether or not, you know, Konami could have handled it better, of course, like, you know, that's all well and good, but in general, we can agree that Pendulum was one of the more badly received mechanics ever. Whether or not Konami could have handled that differently, sure, that's kind of like a different discussion. But basically, the point that we're trying to go on to here now is What are they trying to do with pendulums now? Are they trying to phase out pendulums in the same way that, you know, they could make rituals irrelevant? Like, nobody ever in this game has properly played ritual decks, really. It was never meta, it was never a good thing. Apart from Necros, of course. Shut up, Brad.
No, there was before that as well, because you played Demise, and then there was actually during
Okay.
Light Sun and Zombie
They
format.
were few and far between.
Yeah,
No,
let's
wait,
just
Whoa. And there was
What's
a
that?
Relinquished deck. Relinquished was competitive for a brief period of time.
No way, that's cool.
Yeah, it was
Right.
during Light Sun Zombie. During Light
Hey,
Sun
Harold.
format.
So the point
Oh, yeah.
is, right? The point is, so will they essentially try phase out pendulums by making them so crippled to the point that people just stop playing them and people just kind of forget them, like literally just forget about the pendulum mechanic? Yeah, they've even gone so far as to remove your scales. You don't have scales anymore; they're just back row now.
I think this could very well be like an indirect acknowledgement that they did make a bit of a mistake with the pendulum mechanic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
I-
do you think this is like a subtle Konami way of
especially
admitting they did
if-
wrong?
Yeah, like especially if, as we were saying earlier, obviously this isn't confirmed, so I don't want to go off information that we don't know yet. But especially if you can't make a link monster with pendulum monsters, then that's like salt in the wound there. Like,
Yeah, I can agree. I think that like they've acknowledged the mistake, and like we'll probably end up seeing like pendulum monsters probably stop being printed for a while, if at all, to be honest. And just kind of like I feel like the change in the rules is kind of like, okay, we have to like, well, we can't just like remove pendulums from the game entirely, so we'll just nerf them like fuck. We'll move the pendulum zones to like a less effective area, and then if people want to play pendulum decks, then they still have like the current existing card pool. But yeah, I can see them kind of straying away from the mechanic.
yeah, definitely.
I don't know. I think it could be either two ways. Like, maybe they'll think of some way to like, you know, combine it with link summoning to make it sort of like give it some decent synergy. But in general, you know, it feels like link summoning is just going to be its own thing, and then it will just kind of be like coupled with, you know, Exceed summoning with the most part, a little bit of synchro summoning here. Probably won't see rituals again for a while. Might see a bit of fusion summoning. Pendulum summoning, it just kind of depends on what sort of archetypes come out. Obviously, it's way too early to tell. We have no idea what kind of new pendulum archetypes they've got waiting for us. If they even have any cool ones waiting for us. I'm sure they will make pendulum archetypes, but they'll be on the level of, like, you know, Crystons and Shinobird. Like, one of these, like, irrelevant archetypes that come out every set. You know, there's, like, some new archetype every set, and it's just not even peripheral. It's literally just there to, like, fill up, like, your junk box, you know, and that's it. And they don't even see the light of day. They're good for like sneak peeks. Like, they'll have one broken card for like a sneak peek, and that's as relevant as it'll ever be.
Fucking metronome broken.
Wonder balloons.
Oh, I tell you which one was broken. To go off topic, was Elemental Mistress Doriado, the pendulum monster. So you play that with like Dynamists, and then you just like boost all your guys by like 600 or something. It was fucking insane. It was the freest sneak peek of one.
The best broken card in a sneak peek was Pumpkin Princess. Just figured I'd bring that one up.
Brad, you know a little bit about the anime, right? How well received was
All of it.
Sure. No, yeah. So
how well received was Arc 5? Was it like a hit and stuff, or?
I don't fucking go around community boards and shit about it. You know, I'm just.
Let's be honest, Brad. You're probably the best source out of all of us here for the anime.
I've watched it. You know.
All right. Do you not want to answer the question? That's fine. I'll ask someone else. Like,
Whoa.
What do you mean? Like, I don't talk to people. I don't actively go out and talk to people about the fucking anime. I just go, oh, that card looks pretty sick. That card looks alright.
Brad, you're like the only one here out of everyone who's watched the anime. Like, you're the most qualified to answer this question by default.
Yeah, no, but like,
I watched Duelist Kingdom. That was a cool one.
Right, well, I guess I watched the first episode of Art 5 when they were doing that.
One
that
episode.
live stream. So,
I mean, like anything. I think, as far as I'm aware.
Rip.
Oh, did we just
Rip.
lose Brad?
Ripperoni.
Oh, you're back. Brad?
He's gone.
The sheep have bitten into his internet cables.
Sorry.
He got so triggered about the anime, his microphone broke.
It was the headset, yeah.
Oh, there you are.
Shitty fucking, yeah.
What were you saying?
My headset's fucked. I said anything's better than Zexal, honestly. Like, Zexal was like, as far as I'm aware, it was like, shit. I didn't even watch that one.
Which one's Exel?
The XC summoning one.
Oh, that was like the second last one, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Right, what's the chat saying? I think Arc 5 started off good and became Slippery Slope when the Synchro Arc started. There was a Synchro Arc, but I thought it was supposed to be Pendulum summoning.
Yeah, they go to... This is where I think it gets a bit rocky. They go to other dimensions, and it's just like you know, it's just like, sure, why not? You know, they go to like the Synchro... Like, the world is split into 4 different dimensions, and each dimension has a summoning mechanic. So...
Alright, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, where are we going with link summoning? So is there anything else we need to cover? I guess like the whole pendulum scale in the back row. Do you think that's really relevant? Probably not for the.
I think that was a really good change until we did all the other ones. Completely overkill.
I think Ariane might be a bit sad, and other than that, that's about the most relevant point there.
I think that it was good that they were sort of simplifying the game board a lot more because it was way too many zones. Like, but then they just added 2 more zones, so it's like you get to 1 step forward, 1 step back. You haven't really done anything in that regard. In terms of like how relevant it is to like competitive play, I don't really think so, because I mean, like, you know, unless you're playing Metal Foes with like, you know, you're setting your 2 counters and drawing with your coach trainer and setting barrier strike, and you still need skills, like that's the only time it could be really relevant. And in the end you could say that's a good thing. You know, you don't want to fucking set 5 and have skills. That's just a bit OP. Yeah, I mean, it's for the most part not really relevant, I'd say. So I think this is pretty much us covered everything, so we could probably go to the chat now for some talking points. If anyone wants to like throw out some random discussion points for us in the chat, feel free, or ask questions and we can like talk about it a little bit in the meantime while these questions come in.
I guess I'll just add one thing in that I've like thought about, was the fact that like, depending on how big this mechanic is, the fact that the extra deck is still only 15 cards could be like,
oh yeah,
really
that's actually a really good point.
A very big issue.
Well, it depends on like, I mean, like, I think in the short term that's not the case, but in the long term, yeah. In the short term, well, no, it depends, because like the card pool for link summoning is gonna be quite small to begin with. So I think that like, so you probably have a bit of wiggle room based on what you're playing. But yeah, like as the game gets more and more cards and stuff, you want to like play primarily link summoning stuff, and then like I can imagine like Synchro and XC's cards being a bit more like tech options or like additional sort of extensions rather than like the primary sort of core engine or something. But
that's the problem. It's like the link summoning is a primary core option pretty much every deck now.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's like everything just got 2 or 3 more staples.
Yeah, but until like we get a larger card pool, that won't be an issue.
All right.
Really?
Just as a quick question to chat. So like, just type yes or no in chat if you think the extra deck should be increased from 15 to like 17, or just a generic number, right? Just say yes or no if you think the extra deck should increase. Personally, I think yes. I mean, if you think about it just like conceptually, the game's been around for 10 years, and the extra deck has been 15. Well, it started out with like 1,000 or whatever, right? But then they like cemented it with rules. You know, it's been 15 for 10 years. We've had 4 new mechanics, and they still haven't increased the extra deck total. So it looks like an overwhelming yes. I see quite a lot of yes spams. Most people think that we should have more extra deck spots. A lot of people saying 20. I think 20 is a bit much.
I think 20 would be. They'd probably want to make it a round number anyway, so I think 20 would be the.
You guys agreed that 15 is perfectly fine.
Shut up. It was just unfair though, because like, you know, the thing with like extra deck slots is like, some decks can get away with like fucking 4, and then some decks can get away like need like 16. You know.
Do you not find this?
The decks that need 16 tend to be the better ones.
Well, look at Necros versus Shaddoll. Shaddoll needed like 16-ish extra deck monsters.
Maybe that's a good thing though. It's like maybe we're just getting a bit greedy and just expecting to run all this stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Like, do you not find it like I honestly find it like the challenge, and like looking at like an extra deck and thinking, wow, this is really tight. I need to really value like I really need to think about what's going to be in my extra deck. I really find like that sort of thought process actually really good for the game. I think that's actually really good because that
I can completely understand that, but here, look at it from this angle, right? The extra deck is there to give you options and to give you a sort of a versatile way to deal with multiple problems at any given point in the game, right? Now, I understand that it should be a challenge because you should mentally prepare for, okay, I might come up against this situation, so I'll need this XE monster. I'll come up against this situation, I'll need this synchro monster, for example. That totally makes sense. But on the other hand, do you really think players should be punished because they don't have an out to, like, I don't fucking know, like Ultimate Falcon? Like they haven't played, we have like Lightning now, I guess that's a staple. But like during Necros format, like like if you didn't dedicate a spot to like Diamond Crab King or something.
But what's the middle ground? Like, do you want them to have an out to everything in their extra deck?
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
I think so, yeah.
That's what makes the game. That's what makes the game interesting. Like the fact that you are going to lose to some variants. You are going to lose to some random card. Like that's the risk you take when you do these extra deck spots. Like you.
I think that opening up the extra deck to more options that deal with basically every situation provides players with, in the end, it is a card game and there will be luck involved. But we want as little luck as possible to affect how we play, and
that's the opposite of what the Konami wants a bunch of the time, because they want little kids to be able to buy a deck, be able to play it, and then beat some people that have been playing for ages, and then that makes them want to play the games. For longer.
I think that's a bit of an extremity there.
The bastards, little 10-year-old bastards. With
they have admitted that they want kids. To
obviously that's going to be the goal, but saying they want them to beat people who've been playing for a few years, that's not going to like happen like straight away. Just go a bit of luck.
For sure, but they want the game to be. Well, I guess this is kind of funny, seeing that they're doing all these new rules, which are going to make it more complicated for the new people. But they want people to be able to start up the game and just be able to play with something that they've just picked up and just have fun and just like.
I mean, I don't know how true that is, but basically, look, the way I see it is like we want as little variance in the game as possible. We want to be able to decide how our duels go based on how good we are as players, and I'm sure everyone can agree with that. So I think to be punished because you didn't play like Black Rose because it came up once in your Shadal deck. I think that.
That's what testing.
No, but the thing is, Brad, like no amount of testing can prepare you for like a very, very niche scenario against a very like sort of like niche rogue deck or something like that. You know what I mean? Like these things can't really, like testing can only take you so much. I think that, again, like I said, it's a way to remove as much variance, unnecessary variance as possible. Variance for the sake of variance isn't a good game. I understand what you're saying, like, there should be a middle ground or whatever, but the key thing I'm saying is like variance just for the sake of variance is kind of dumb, and I don't think that we should be punished because we didn't have that one extra deck monster that I was maybe going to play but took out at the last minute. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, I mean, I just feel like it's just unnecessarily punishing.
Like so like the way I think is best to describe it is like, so in like if you are going into a tournament and you've only got like 15 extra cards and you have to like you have to play the ones you're gonna play, duh. Like it's the same concept as like when you side as well. When you like try and side, you can't side for like every matchup, so you decide that you're only gonna side the more quality stuff for the matches are definitely gonna be there. And if you end up like facing against something that you know it's potentially going to be there, but isn't going to be like, it's going to have a very small representation, you'd rather take the loss rather than play like a less efficient side deck for the majority. So I think it's like similar in the fact that your extra deck needs to be like the more quality stuff, and if you don't happen to have that one niche card that one time it happens to come up, then you have to take the L, because like it happens sometimes.
Yeah, but
I think I think that you just are a bit different. Like, and not to mention, like, I think 15 extra deck spaces as it is now is like pretty fine. But like, if you're gonna say need 5 link monsters in your extra deck as well, only having 10 spaces for like XYZs and synchros, like you'd barely have any room to play any. Like, there'd be so much that you'd need to put in, but just would have to cut like stuff that's basically essential.
I think you just boiled down your argument like there perfectly, Brad. Like your main argument there, it came down to like, well, you just have to take the L. Like, I don't feel like that's a strong argument. It's just like deal with it.
But like, rather than trying to like say that we should be able to like have more space so we can have more stuff A lot of haters about. No, but like rather than trying to like say we should do this because then we can fit more quality stuff into our extra and side deck so we can cover every matchup. The like Beaky said, and I think Elliot said, like it comes from like some of the skill comes from like making meta calls and being a bit more intuitive about the game rather than just like no matter what the percentages of me placing Dark Lords at this next event, I'm gonna cram 3 Book of Eclipse into my sideboard so I don't get fucking like locked out of the game by Christia or some shit like that, and that's fine, I don't get punished for bad deck building because I've now got 5 extra spaces than I would normally have.
I mean, I guess we can just agree to disagree on that point. We're going a little bit off topic, so back to Link summoning here. I just want to mention that Danny in chat said Brad knows a lot about taking L's.
Yeah, that's why I was like, yeah. Sam put in all caps earlier. I got a question. How did Brad top a regional?
I also would like to know that question be answered.
Unfortunately, we are not gods, so there are some things that we cannot answer.
well, if I was given a fucking deck profile, then I would have been able to explain it. But apparently my list is fucking vanilla as shit.
Well, we don't really want to watch 15 minutes of like I have no idea. God's gift came today.
Oh my god! If you were there, if you saw how I topped, it was retarded. Anyway, carry on.
So anyway,
you, Alex Robertson.
we're I actually had a point that I wanted to go on to. Oh yeah, let's say hypothetically you Alcahest Decode Talker, and now you have an arrow pointing up. So like, does that give you another link zone?
I think we have to wait until way close to the time there.
Wait, what was the question?
Anything we say is just speculation there.
So if you Alcahest Decode Talker with the arrow pointing up, right, and then you put it in one of your back row, so now it's pointing up to one of your main monster zones, does that give you an extra link zone?
I would personally say it's a spell, so the blink effects of it
it doesn't
no longer apply.
Yeah,
I would personally.
Yeah, definitely a spell at that point.
In my humble opinion. Yeah, so I mean, I'm just curious to see what kind of like weird rulings and stuff this will break. Can you guys think of any like weird niche situations that will like come up because of these things? I think really the main thing is just going to be how important spell placement is going to be. Sorry, monster placement is going to be. Like, it's just going to be so fundamental to the game now that they will seriously have to enforce like official mats and stuff at some point. Who knows? This could be a way for them to sell even more product.
Jesus. Yeah.
New meta, alien infiltrator.
What's alien infiltrator?
I think the interesting thing about this is the fact
Once
that
per turn, you can move it to an adjacent non-occupied monster zone.
we're actually going to have to like start in like having to share a field with our opponents. Like, this isn't like before where you just have your own playmat. Like, you actually have to share an extra monster zone like in the same section as your opponent.
Yeah.
It'd be weird.
What do you guys think about like the whole balancing thing they've done with, for example, Decode Talker, giving your opponent an extra deck zone as well as yourself? Like, so they've made.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case at the moment. It's not confirmed. I'm pretty sure that was like incorrect. I just think that like it links to your opponent's field. So
What? No, it's official.
it's official.
It's on the picture.
Look at the picture.
Yeah, it doesn't give them an extra zone though, does it?
Look, it says link.
Yeah, no, that is the whole idea. There's going to be loads of things like that. There are going to probably be in the future like link 4s that are going to be really easy to summon, that are going to like give your opponent like 2 and you 2 or something.
So I think like even regardless of how power creeped
Cool.
link monsters become, they're still going to keep it balanced to some degree, which I think could be
You
interesting.
say that, but then there could be stuff like you make a massive board with a link monster and then right afterwards or some fucking bullshit. And it's like, it completely removes the negative aspects of the card, because we've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, but I think you're being a bit too pessimistic with your prediction there. Like, in the end, like conceptually we can see that Konami have made the mechanic so that it gives you resources, but it also gives a little to your opponent as well. So conceptually, do you not agree that like that's a good thing?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it.
So I mean, I think that's their way of like addressing first turns like being just absurd. And going second is not completely ass anymore. So
Still ass.
feel free to comment here, anyone.
No, like I when I thought we talked about it before in the chat, and I was pretty like we were because it wasn't confirmed at the time, but like I was thinking like, oh, if that's the case, like that's really cool because like that's like a matter of like knowing when to push or knowing when to extend and stuff, or like
Yeah, that's a
you
cool
kind of
aspect
get
of it.
punished. Yeah, it kind of gets punished for like maybe overextending or just playing your cards in general. But yeah, that's gonna be cool. But like that's it. Like the power creep will then be at that point. It'll be where they create link monsters that don't have anything pointing up. So like that'd be another power creep aspect. Oh yeah, it gives your opponent fuck all, and it gives you 3 zones pointing down. You know.
See, the thing is, right, like, just based on the actual design of the card, there's no way it can ever give you more than 3 zones.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, Beaky's away to open packs, apparently. Bye, Beaky.
Good luck getting your idol on deck.
Yeah, so at most there can only ever be 6, right? No, 8. But even then, like, so we
8
have...
what?
So there's 8 links, right? So you have top, left, right, top, left, right, and then bottom left, bottom right, bottom. So each corner of the card plus the middle part of the card all point to somewhere, right? But the thing is, only 6 of them can ever be in use at a time, even though it's got 8 links. Because left and right can't be active if it's pointing at all 6. And if it's in your main monster zone, left and right will work. But now your top and bottom don't work, since it would just be pointing at your back row. So I think they've inherently curved it, you know?
I mean, like,
by
be
design.
A point where, like, let's say, for example, there's a monster that had, like, all 8 of them, all 8 of these little dinky things. I forgot what the word is. Hello?
Bread.
Whoa, what the hell's
up?
happening?
Bread.
Yo, Sharif, you know you're currently rank 1 in the UK for the WCQ points?
Nah, I'm not, because Alex just won the Brotherhood. I scrubbed the Brotherhood, so he's ahead of me.
Oh, so you're at least like rank like 2 or something, right?
Nah, I'm pretty sure Tom Rose is ahead of me as well.
I just think they updated him with Liverpool, that's why.
Yeah, and Jawad is probably ahead of me as well.
Oh, you suck. You suck!
Huh? I know, like, I was actually just so tilted that, like, I scrubbed the Brotherhood, but there's many more events. I was going to all of them, like, before I even knew about the Worlds thing. I just wanted to practice for, you know, YCS and big events, so I don't scrub at them.
Nationals are the most important now with the WCQ points. Yeah. What do you think of link summoning?
I have no clue what it is, but honestly, I'm still going to be playing the game, and we'll see how it goes.
Fair. Good contribution. Don't know what it does.
Wait, are you guys streaming right now, or you just...
Yeah, we were doing a link summoning discussion. Thanks for interrupting.
Yeah, we are streaming.
Oh, sorry for interrupting.
good entrance though.
I think we're wrapping up anyway. Yeah, so I think that's all of us. I mean, any more points from chat? Feel free to throw them out now.
What I was saying is like they probably end up doing like a monster that has like all 8 fucking corners of the card like active.
But do you not understand how pessimistic that is? Like the best link monster currently is like Decode Talker that has like 2 zones and like negates like 1 effect or something, right? And now you're already like jumping the gun. You're like, they're gonna make a monster with 8 links and you can summon it from your fucking binder and shit.
I'm just saying, like, you know, this is probably where it could go. Like, you know, where it's.
I think it will. I'm not disagreeing with you, honestly.
Yeah, and like, so if you look at where that link spider is, for example, it could make use of the top 3 at that point, or like top 3 and the bottom 3 at that point, and then when it's in the space right underneath it, you know, she's making use of the parallel, whatever the fuck, you know, other ones. So yeah,
like, I don't think stuff like that is going to be the problem. Like, having those zones is good, don't get me wrong, but like, it doesn't inherently just make stuff broken. Like, the stuff I'm scared of is having like link monsters that actually do stuff, you know, like search monsters, summon.
Yeah,
that's gonna be the spooky stuff.
There's gonna be like a Bahamut shark for link monsters that can just like give you another link or some shit like that.
So I mean, like, just flooding the board.
Yeah, I mean, it will come eventually. Let's be realistic. Like, it'll start off tame, and then, you know, like Magicians when Pendulums came out, like that deck was pretty fair. And then it just like woo, Pepe.
They could do something. They could do something really dumb as well, where like they could have a link monster where like they could have all the arrows just pointing up, and then it could have like a link effect that like just nukes anything that's a link to and shit like that. Because like,
It's like a dark hole like for link zones.
Yeah, because like Decode Talker
Tribute
gains
stuff.
Yeah, but it also gains 500 for everything it's linked to. So it can actually gain an attack boost off of your opponent's monsters. So like looking at that, you can see that they are going to create cards that like not only interact with your stuff, but interact with your opponents and gain benefits off of it. So
the power creep will come. Let's you know, we can definitely expect it, but yeah, it was
first time now, it could be good.
I think there was one other thing I wanted to mention, but I can't remember what. So yeah, one final actual talking about that I wanted to have. Non-extra deck monsters, archetypes rather, could potentially, you know, assuming how strong Link monsters start off with. So if they don't start off that strong, non-Link decks are actually going to be really good. So we could see like Cosmo Mermail like being a thing now, like really strong, because they just inherently don't rely on the extra by nature. So
I don't see Cosmo being a thing. Like the deck just sucks.
Decks like that will probably just get like a boost to begin with, like when the Link mechanic's just in its early stages, but it's not going to be very relevant for very long, I don't think.
Yeah, such a short-term thing.
But the thing is, like, can you guys think of any deck that's like really strong that only needs one extra deck monster like per game?
Talonize!
Lol.
Trivia for days!
Oliver Newton just wins like nationals again.
No, but seriously, like there actually isn't like many decks at all that are good like without, you know, they can only like use like one extra deck monster. So you know we could have like Lawn Mowing Infernoid, Mermail, Cosmo, Ritual Beast. Apparently someone Budgeons. Fuck off.
There's been a lot of talk about Infernoids as one of the options because if you check my Facebook wall with when I talked about the new links rules, Thomas Rose brought up a good point about Omega, and like obviously like unless it doesn't get its inevitable ban or limit, the point is that if it leaves the field by its own effect from like let's say it's someone in the extra deck monster zone and it leaves the field by its own effect,
yeah, it returns as a like non-extra deck monster.
Yeah. So like.
You think that's bad? Have you not actually considered the fact that if you shit, my mind went blank. Oh, Infernoids, yeah, that's where I was going with. If you make like an extra deck monster, right? That goes to your extra deck monster zone, right? I don't think that counts towards your Infernoid level, if you know what I mean.
I think it's monsters you control with like Infernoid, so yeah, I think it will.
It depends how they rule it, but it could potentially be that Infernoid's now essentially.
Doesn't it literally say level and ranks? They don't have level or ranks, so.
Yeah, Link monsters actually don't have level or ranks. That's true.
Oh yeah, fucking hell.
Unless like Link's because like I don't know, they're gonna errata the whole Infernoid archetype to be like up to like Link 8 or something.
Can you imagine?
Nah,
fuck it, just ban Decatron.
And even then, like Link monster like have low links by nature. Like Link 3, you'd think sounds like bad because like rank 3 isn't going to be as strong as like rank 8. Well, we in theory we think that, right? But that's not the case. But like Link 3 is like as strong as we'll probably get for like a while, you know. So having a Link 3 is still actually it's a small number for Infernoid, so you know.
You know what I can't wait for? I can't wait for all of the Photon Link monsters, all the Galaxy Photon Link monsters, all the that entire fucking archetype poured over into this another fucking mechanic.
Oh yeah, they've confirmed a bunch of like support for old shit, haven't they? Like spell books as well as one.
Hashtag not all Infernoids. Can you imagine spellbooks being good again?
That'd be cool.
They need judgment. Like they just know.
Why would it be cool? Please elaborate.
I don't know. I remember like looking at
I don't know.
That was AIDS.
I remember
It's very evident that you don't know.
I was alright. I played with Dolce back then, and I was like, even.
There's your problem, mate. Like,
I love that deck. That deck's cool.
Oh, this is actually another topic that I wanted to talk about. As devil's advocate, to looking at this from the other perspective. Now, obviously, we were like hyping up how cool it is that I don't have to like sorry, like the game's like slowing down now. We can play like, you know, a slower game, and it's just gonna be generally like not as like fucking stupid as it was before with like blah 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 first turn break my board. We're gonna potentially, you know, on the other side, you could look at it from a lot of players' perspectives. Where it's like, well, I can't play my Synchron deck anymore. Like, well, how do you think they're gonna react? They're the bulk of the player base, you know.
I think they're going to be sad.
No, they're going to adapt.
They're gonna be sad.
Nah.
Poor little Synchron players. Oh,
No, but seriously, like they're a big portion of the player base. Like, who knows? This could be hated more than Pendulums.
Nah,
Well, I
people
mean,
like bitch and moan, but they'll play at the end of the day. They'll always end up going to the shops and
like-
buying packs, buying structure decks. They'll always, you know, rinse their wallet on this game at the end of the
No,
day.
they'll incorporate link summon into the deck and still not do better or worse than before.
But the thing is, like, if I want to play Madoche, I need my Levier to make tiramisu. If I can only make one extra deck monster, well, I can't do anything. Like, I can't go
Well,
into tiramisu.
you might get that occasional guy who's just like, oh no, my ignites are dead. Like I can't do this anymore. But it's like at the end of the day, if there were people who like only playing one deck ever, anyway, they weren't contributing any money towards Konami, so they're not going to give a shit.
Fuck them, mate. Fuck them. Like I said before,
Fuck 'em up.
Fuck them. If you think this game is ruined, like leave. Go fucking play Pokemon. I hear that, you know.
It's actually a good point, though, that someone did mention, right? Someone says, like, no one was forced to play Pendulums. Like, you didn't have to, like, participate in the Pendulum mechanic. You could essentially just ignore that it ever existed by not
Nah, I'm
simply
pretty sure
playing.
in full power Pepe format, you couldn't ignore that.
And except
No, the thing is, like, you could. Like, if you wanted to
That's-
just play a deck that didn't have Pendulum, you could literally just ignore it and not play it, right? But, you know, obviously this is from a casual perspective. But now, with Link monsters, that actually completely changes the game. Like, they can't ignore Link, because that's changed the rules that they play, you know what I mean? And yes, I am referencing half of Gikuchi. I need to reference, because they are a big portion of the player base, like, in the end, like, as...
out of it.
So...
No, yeah, it's to be a lot of like main deck sort of decks that people seem to be hyping up a bit. Like obviously Light Swans again support as well. But like the Twilight shit, even though Punishment Dragon's like shit.
Trash.
Yeah, it's like garbage. But like there's like Light Swan
cynical.
support and what?
It's trash.
damage.
It is. It's trash.
That's
Ready?
fine. Go on, what were you saying?
But
There's not really any reason you would ever play over Judgment Dragon.
yeah. Actually, I lost my train of thought. Never mind. But like,
I think the problem with Yu-Gi-Oh is like they never get old players back really. Like generally, very few. Like they introduce a new mechanic. It's not like loads of people are gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna pick up that game now. It's like still just Yu-Gi-Oh. Still like we'll get the regular amount of people coming in, and they'll probably lose more people than they gain. Like whenever they release a mechanic, like any mechanic.
but then like
Even if it was an amazingly cool mechanic, people aren't gonna
Wait,
pick up the game
wait.
because of it.
But you say that, but how come like record attendance events has been much
That's
higher than
different.
it's been before?
That's
Yeah,
because
like-
of competitive play, though. Like the competitive scene's growing, but overall, like people are gonna quit and more people aren't really gonna join. Competitive play base is tiny in comparison.
it might actually like I think that like what they've done. So the points thing obviously is gonna improve the competitive scene even further. So like that intent, like with the already increasing numbers of the competitive scene, it might actually help the game. But and like with a slower, less retarded spam a lot, you know, game state, you know, we could actually see a healthy Yu-Gi-Oh again. I'd actually like to play in a format again that was healthy, but also ones that I haven't played in, like, you know, something like, you know, Tengu Plants, where it's actually slow but like really quality. So yeah.
Yep, I guess that's pretty much going to call it. We've been here for just over an hour, so I think this is a good way to end it now. So, Punishment Dragon, trash is what we've gathered from this discussion.
It is. I think
It was all leading there from the beginning. That was the thing we wanted recognised.
I have a closing sentiment.
Is this about your regional top?
No. We'll talk about that another day.
No, it won't.
But no, like, okay, so like, it was like, you know how like every deck we've played before relatively sounds like, you know, an archetype, and it's like it sounds like normal. You know, like I played Metal Foes or I played this. Do you know how autistic you're gonna sound now when someone asks you like, "What did you play at the YCS?" and you say, "I played dinosaurs."
What the fuck?
I was just thinking about it. I was like, God, I'm gonna sound like a massive glue sniffer when someone asks me what I took to like Euros.
Glue
Brad, you already are a glue sniffer with your one regional top, bro. Step back.
Oh my God, if I go to Worlds before you, man, I'm gonna be fucking howling. Oh! Watch out, as I win Nats.
Well,
I'll win Nats
so much
like...
for this stream trying to be PG friendly with that comment, Brad. Thanks for that. Anyway.
Your content isn't? Yeah, because if the rest of your content isn't. Like...
I know. We're trying to work on it, but whatever. I think it's time to go, guys. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.